Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and this is Military Mind. Armed conflicts, defense and security, land, sea and air. We've got you covered. Now, today is the 6th of January, and for yet another night without pauses, Russian forces launched dozens of drones at Ukrainian territory. Ukrainian authorities report that 61 strike drones were used in the attack. Meanwhile, late on the 5th of January, Russian forces targeted facilities linked to the US agricultural company Bungie in the southeastern Ukrainian city of Dnipro. As a result of the drone strike, around 300 tons of vegetable oil spilled onto city roads. The attack caused a fire, damaged a sunflower oil plant, destroyed several vehicles and knocked out power lines. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha stated that, and I quote, "This attack was not a mistake, it was deliberate. The Russians attempted to strike this facility multiple times." End of quote. In Russia, meanwhile, a Ukrainian drone attack disrupted rail traffic and caused minor damage to infrastructure in the Voronezh region. Officials said there were no casualties and the train service is being restored. In the Lipetsk region, local authorities reported a fire at an industrial site following drone attacks. Local media concluded that the Usmanskaya oil depot was on fire. Preliminary reports indicate no injuries. Meanwhile, in Tver, during the interception of drones by Russian air defenses, drone debris struck the windows of an apartment building. One person was killed and 2 others were injured. Analysts suggest the likely target of the attack may have been the Tver railcar manufacturing plant, located about 1 kilometer from the damaged residential building. Turning to the front line now, for the very first time in a long while, the Pokrovsk sector is no longer leading in the number of Russian assault actions per day. That position has now been taken by Huliaipole. According to deep state maps, almost the entire city is now a gray zone, meaning neither side fully controls it. However, Russian forces have managed to drive a wedge into the city center and advance from the north towards a key supply road used by Ukrainian troops. Analysts say the most recent Russian advance in this area was recorded at the very start of the year. Deep State also reports heightened Russian military activity in the Zaporizhia region at the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026. Russian forces are actively assaulting positions near Orikhiv and Stepnohirsk, an area that could potentially open a route towards the city of Zaporizhia. And now, moving on to the Middle East, where overnight the Israel Defense Forces announced strikes on Hezbollah and Hamas targets in Lebanon. According to the IDF, the strikes hit weapons depots, above-ground and underground military facilities, and Hamas weapons production sites in southern Lebanon. Israeli officials say these facilities were used to build up military capabilities and carry out attacks against Israeli forces. In its statement, the IDF said that terrorist infrastructure was deliberately embedded in civilian areas, once again demonstrating the cynical use of Lebanese civilians as human shields by terrorist organizations. Russia's strike on Kyiv's civilian infrastructure has once again confirmed its tactic of terror against the civilian population. In a nighttime attack, an enemy drone struck a private clinic in the Obolon district of the capital. According to Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, 16 of the 26 patients at the medical facility were urgently evacuated to municipal hospitals across the city. Doctors assessed the condition of 2 of the 3 victims as serious. The Patrol Police released footage of the first minutes after the strike: a damaged building, broken windows, smoke, and the chaos of evacuation. Now, despite the threat of repeated strikes, law enforcement officers and medics worked together to rescue people from under the rubble. The strike on the clinic is yet another war crime by the Russian Federation, demonstrating once again that the enemy is deliberately attacking not military targets, but places where lives are being saved.
На третьому не знають, чи всіх вивели.
На другому точно. Ти сюди на перший. Тут покажи. Ова. Аккуратно.
Ні, тримай.
Ну, дивіться, що допомагає щось витягувати. Что это?
Давайте ноші якось брати на покриву.
Берите за матрас.
Now we're going to move on to our next story. During combat operations, the Ukrainian 5th Separate Assault Brigade, codename Kyiv, detected Russian infantry movements and immediately opened fire. Precise strikes against enemy forces thwarted their attempt to secure their positions. As a result of the fire damage, some of the occupiers were eliminated, while the rest retreated, leaving behind their equipment and shelters. The enemy's attempt to advance ended in further losses and failure. First-person footage captured the moment a Ukrainian drone struck a group of Russian troops with extreme precision. No editing, no commentary, just panic, screams, and a sudden cut in the broadcast. The result of the attack, one Russian soldier has been eliminated. Several others were wounded. Another attempt by the enemy to advance ended before the battle even began.
Не чувствуешь, не чувствуешь. Помогите!
Помогите!
Стой! Помогите! Тебе не в район, такие не помогите! Не чувствую ноги, да! Помогите!
Now, it is worth noting that the Russians were traveling not by an armored vehicle, but most likely by either a civilian one or one of these little minibuses, are often referred to as the bukhankas. Now, these are what you would refer to as soft-skinned vehicles, meaning no protection. That is why when these troops noticed a UAV, they just tried to jump out. It's just that some of them didn't make it in time. Now, moving on to our next story today, border guards operating the Aquila UAVs of the Steel Border Brigade delivered a series of precision strikes against enemy logistics and communications. With the help of FPV drones and the Vampire Strike UAV, one Russian truck, 3 communications antennas, 5 antenna shelters, and an ammunition depot were all destroyed. The strikes were carried out on key support elements that directly affect the command and stability of Russian units. And with this, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.